to ACWS's Outcome Tracker training videos. This video will walk you through how to modify questions and some best practices around modifying questions. If you're watching the videos in order, last episode you learned how to add questions to your activity. Now we're going to learn how to modify questions that have already been added. As with everything in Outcome Tracker, there are two ways to go about doing this. You can either go to the Activities tab or the Setup tab. I'm going to show you how to do it on the Activities tab first. You want to do this way if the questions that you're modifying are all on the same activity, and likely they probably are. So in this case, I'm going to do test exit survey. This is the survey that I created specifically for these videos. I'm going to go to questions tab here on the top. So these are all the questions in this video. Let's say I want to change this question. When and where did the client hear about our services? I'm not interested in when the client heard about our services. So I'm going to click on the question. I'm going to go to question definition. And I'm going to edit the question here and click update. And there you go. This is just a text question, so that's all you have to do. Remember that it is possible to edit your question in such a way that data you get before the edit and after the edit are no longer comparable. So make sure that if you want to compare previous data to post data, you don't change the question so that the answers are no longer comparable. Now I've noticed that there is a mistake on my drop-down list, and I want to edit that. So I'm going to click on the drop-down list. This will actually allow me to edit the drop-down list. And my mistake that I've noticed is I don't want this option to be neutral. I want it to be neither true nor false. And I'll click update. Now you'll see this warning list here. This is why you have to be careful with editing drop-down lists, because this drop-down list is shared amongst all of the questions that have this drop-down list in this activity. So if you watched the last video, you'll remember we decided to use this same drop-down list for all the questions in this activity. And what that means is that if I edit it for one, for instance, the client felt heard and understood. So as you can see, once you edit the drop-down list for one question, it applies that change to every question that uses that drop-down list. This is true for the questions in this activity and in any other activity. So you want to be very careful when editing drop-down lists that you actually want to make the change. So now I have enrolled a client in this activity. And let's say after I've enrolled a client or some clients in this activity, I want to change the drop-down list. Click on the list like before, and you'll see some of these are grayed out. They're no longer editable. That means that I can no longer edit them. As an example, let's say I realize that mostly false should actually be pretty false. So I want to add. And remember, this will edit this drop-down list for everyone. So now all of these questions will have this value. Click Add. Now I want to reorder them so that pretty false is where it was before, or where mostly false is now. Update. So now I have a new option on the survey. The problem is that now false, mostly false, pretty false, all of these are going to show up for all of them, and mostly false and pretty false mean pretty much the same thing. Now I want to go to Setup. I want to disable the option Mostly False. In order to do that, I would go to Define drop-down list in the Activities section under Setup. So I click on this. Now I need to search for my question. The client felt heard and okay, so it's popped up. So now I want to click on the drop-down list, the values, and you'll see here there is enabled, and all of them are enabled. If you uncheck enabled for the options that you no longer want and click update, it will remove them from the drop-down list when you enroll people in that activity or on any form that these questions are on. The other way that you can edit questions and modify questions in Outcome Tracker is to go to Setup instead of Questions. In here you can define question types, define drop-down list, and define questions. If we go to define questions, we can search for our question that we want. And click on the question, and it'll take us to the Edit tab. So here we can edit the question, edit the drop-down, and see where and how it's used. So that is the second way that you can edit questions on Outcome Tracker. Another thing to keep in mind when you're editing questions is that if a question is a ACWS standard network question, which is to say if it is a Schedule D question, you need to contact ACWS before you change those questions because it can result in infidelity in your data if you change those questions, and potentially can even cause infidelity in data across the network. A good rule of thumb is to exercise a bit of caution whenever you're editing questions in your site, but exercise extra caution especially when you're editing questions that you did not put on your site that are from ACWS. And that is how you edit and modify questions on your site. Thank you for using ACWS's Outcome Tracker training videos.